What would you do if you lost everything? Your career, your income, and the future you worked years to build. Today's inspiring story follows Ethan Carter, a hardworking single father whose life changed overnight when he was fired by the powerful CEO he trusted. With nowhere to turn and only a small amount of savings left, Ethan took a chance on an abandoned bakery that everyone else had forgotten. What happened next shocked an entire town, and years later, fate brought the same CEO back into Ethan's life in a way no one expected. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories like this one. Now grab your favorite drink, sit back and enjoy the story. Let's get started. Ethan Carter stood outside the glass-covered corporate headquarters in downtown Chicago, staring at the reflection of a life that had just fallen apart. The cardboard box in his hands contained 15 years of memories, family photos, work, awards, and a coffee mug his daughter had given him on Father's Day. Just an hour earlier, he had been called into a conference room and informed that his position was being eliminated as part of a company-wide restructuring. The words still echoed in his mind. After years of loyalty, late nights, and sacrificed weekends, he was being shown the door with little more than a handshake and a severance package as Ethan walked to his aging car. The weight of reality settled heavily on his shoulders. He was a single father raising his 10-year-old daughter, Lily. Every bill, every grocery trip, every school expense depended on him. He had no wealthy relatives to help and no backup plan waiting in the wings. The drive home felt longer than ever. He rehearsed countless ways to explain the situation to Lily without frightening her, but none of them sounded right. Over the following months, Ethan sent out hundreds of job applications. He attended interviews, updated his resume repeatedly, and followed every lead he could find, yet rejection after rejection filled his inbox. Companies wanted younger candidates, different experience, or simply weren't hiring. His savings began to disappear. To keep food on the table, he sold his motorcycle, canceled every unnecessary expense, and dipped into the small emergency fund he had spent years building. One evening, while driving through a quiet Ohio town, after another unsuccessful interview, Ethan noticed an old bakery with a faded sign hanging above the door. The building looked neglected, but something about it caught his attention. As he stood staring through the dusty window, he felt a spark of hope for the first time in months. A feeling perhaps his future did not lie in another office building at all. The bakery stood at the corner of Main Street, like a forgotten piece of the town's history. Its paint was peeling, several windows needed repair, and the display shelves inside were nearly empty. Most people would have seen a failing business, but Ethan saw an opportunity. After speaking with the elderly owner who wanted to retire, he learned the bakery was available for a price that barely fit within the remainder of his severance money. It was a frightening risk. Buying the bakery would leave him with almost no financial safety net. Yet something deep inside told him this was his chance to start over. That night, Ethan sat at the kitchen table with Lily, reviewing numbers and discussing the decision. He expected her to be worried, but instead she smiled and said, "You always tell me that brave people try even when they're scared." Her words stayed with him. The next morning, Ethan signed the papers and became the owner of the old bakery. The first few weeks were exhausting. Ethan spent his days cleaning years of dust from the floors, repairing broken shelves and repainting walls. At night, he watched online baking tutorials and practiced recipes until long after midnight. Many of his first attempts were far from perfect. Some batches burned, others lacked flavor, and a few ended up in the trash. Still, he refused to quit. Lily helped whenever she could, arranging pastries in the display case and creating handmade signs to attract customers. Slowly, people began stopping by. A local teacher purchased muffins for her students. A construction crew became regular customers for morning coffee, and fresh bread word spread throughout the town about the hardworking father and daughter bringing new life to the bakery. With every customer who walked through the door, Ethan's confidence grew. The shop was still far from successful, but for the first time since losing his corporate job, he felt something he had nearly forgotten: hope. The bakery was no longer just a business. It was becoming the foundation of a new future for him and Lily.